Welcome to another exciting episode of Barley Me presents Leonard Malting. That's a beer-centric movie podcast starring me, your host of the Barley Me podcast, Ben Rice, and with me as always my co-stars, my co-host, Paulina Olivares from the Sacramento Pink Boots Society.
I said it too early.
It's fine. You know what? At least something's getting done quickly in this episode. And also my second co-host from the
Hola!
from the Dare Daniel podcast, it's Corky McDonnell.
Guten Tag, everybody. Guten Tag.
And it is St. Patrick's Day. It will not be when you're listening to it, but it is when we're recording it. This is a beer podcast where we review beer-centric movies. So the beer we brought with us today, this is kind of, look, I've never done this before, but this is the first ever double cross promotion. The movie we're going to watch was recommended by the boys, B-O-Y-S-Z. That's a trademark, boys, B-O-Y-S-Z. At Drink Something, Say Something podcast. They recommended this movie, and we're also drinking a Campus Brewing Fight Me, I'm Irish Irish coffee pastry stout, coming in at 12.5%. Campus Brewing is actually operated by Peter Halldorf, one of the hosts of Drink Something, Say Something, hence the double cross promotion.
And also double cross promotion because we're going to stab you in the back.
Yeah.
And in the front.
And in the front, double cross.
Yeah. I should have pointed out we're also watching an action film to really tie this all in together that there's a double cross. But, you know, I'm not the best host that's ever existed.
Are we finally talking about this?
I mean, look, I acknowledge it openly.
Paulina and I have brought this up in several chats.
Yeah, we have a side chat without you.
That's reasonable, and I understand. And like I tell any guest on my regular podcast, the more talking I'm doing, the worse we're doing.
I like it.
Also, in addition to this Fight Me, I'm Irish, we're doubling down on the double cross promotion because we're also drinking. Paulina, what are we drinking?
Wicked spicy pickle whiskey. It'll get you drunk.
Yes. Yes, it will.
And
it's like a pickleback with just one step.
Yeah. You don't need to order that second glass. It's all right there for you. You drink it, then you clean your palate, then you throw up, I think, and then you clean your palate again.
The bottle says one stiff pickle. And that's all you really need. It's what every girl wants.
That's marketing for alcohol. They're so good at it every time.
We are drinking pickled whiskey, spicy pickle whiskey, and Irish coffee pastry stout. There are a lot of flavors happening right now in my mouth. There is almost too much flavor happening in my mouth.
Really?
Did you put both in your mouth at the same time?
I just double-fisted a shooty and a drinky.
So, and there's a lot of shooty in this particular movie we're going to be watching.
Oh.
I like my money pickle back.
Question for you guys. Besides, by the way, this Irish coffee pastry stout is really fucking good.
Yes.
They did a damn good. Campus did a damn good job with this. Is the coffee cooked out, or is there caffeine in this?
It depends on how they do it. The processing can input some caffeine. It's a negligible amount regardless, but some ways of doing it, there is no caffeine added. So I would have to ask what the process is in order to find that out. And I didn't.
Because with all that I got going on here, I didn't want to be like I'm drinking vodka Red Bulls all podcast.
Oh, it will never be that level.
No.
Okay. I got my uppies, I got my downies, guys. I'm good. It's a speedball.
Perfect.
So the movie of the week, recommended to us by the Drink Something, Say Something crew, mentioned on an episode that, Paulina, you were on.
Yes, they had me as a guest.
Yeah, they did not actually dare us this or anything like that. They would on Dare Daniel. They just mentioned that this is something we could probably do on the podcast. Nobody reached out officially to say do it. I just heard it. I'm like, should we do this? And so we are.
Ben just heard something and took it as a challenge like he normally does. Yeah. His little man complex just shines through.
I didn't know we were roasting Ben tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I love Ben.
Yeah, it's the 2015 Gal Gadot classic, Furious 7.
She's in this?
Her picture's in it.
A picture of her.
Oh, okay.
And in the final scene, she's in there, and she's in the credits, and that's all them. She doesn't have a line.
Oh, like the flashback.
Yeah, they find a picture of her in Han's bag when he's dead. They're like, Han's
I saw
dead.
that.
And then here's a picture of what was with him, and there's a picture of Gal Gadot. And then in the end, when they're doing the flashback, yeah, she's just there in one scene, but no words are said.
Well, she's a woman. Why would she speak?
Right.
Right.
We already have one.
First of all.
Two.
She tried to start singing Imagine, and they were like, nope, shut that down.
She's like,
Vin Diesel was ready, though. Vin Diesel wanted every part of that.
Yeah.
Have you heard his music?
No, I didn't know he made music.
Oh, it's like dancey. It's...
Oh, okay. I'm going to take a little break, guys.
Yeah, after your uppers, you gotta listen to it.
Well, Corky, while you're listening to that, let's go ahead and see what the Drink Something, Say Something guys have to say about this film and why they recommended it to us and what they think the beer content was.
Hey, thanks guys for having this little chunk on the show. We were really excited to talk about Kurt Russell's weird obsession with Belgian beer in this movie. There's so many things to break down on it.
It's only so long, too. There's so much happening.
Such a tiny chunk of this movie, and it's so fucking unnecessary. And I struggle to this day to understand why this was added for his character.
Yeah, he's like, hey, let me give you this top secret shit, but you know what? You want a fucking Belgian ale?
It is.
Like,
it happens in this bizarre, like, hideout where they're planning this operation, and he's like, BT Dubs, check out my dope homebrew system.
Yeah, but, you know, Dom's just like, you know what? Fuck your Belgian ales. I want a Corona.
Yeah. Why did they choose
I don't know.
monk brewed Belgian ales?
I have to. So here's what I think. I think that this was a comedy writer who bullshitted his way into an action movie writing room. And they were like, we got to give Kurt Russell's character like a quirk. And someone was like, what if he really likes beer? And they're like, no, we get sponsored by Corona. And the comedy writer was like, I've got a joke for this shit. And it's about celibacy and monks. And that's all
like,
they had.
I like beer, but I also like sex and a weird monk fetish.
And that, and that's it.
I wear cloaks while I fuck.
But so I think it's a good thing to ask, though. Do you think that he did? Is it meant to be that he brewed it himself, or does he just have kegs of?
Because it looked like the system was connected together because it was a tiered keg system, but
Yeah.
it was way too nice and.
But it's not
pretty.
refrigerated.
I mean,
it's
you guys in your warehouse, you don't have cocaine, marijuana, and kegs of beer? Because I do.
That's fair.
Well, yeah.
But it's
Fast and Furious, baby.
It's the thing that he says about like, oh, those monks got it right. I mean, is that like he just has Belgian beer and he's talking about the monks, or is it like those monks got it right in the way that they make their beer and I tried to copy it and whatever?
Well, yeah, no, he makes it, but he also bangs.
He also likes to fuck. Kurt Russell fucks.
Yeah, he fucks.
Look, here's the thing that I have. My biggest complaint, honestly, about this is not this fucked up system that he has that makes no sense, would never work. It's not the fact that system is not refrigerated clearly and it's warm beer.
Oh, here we go.
Why, if you're going to make Kurt Russell's character a huge beer snob... Yeah, he's never CIP'd that shit. If you're going to make him a huge beer snob, why not give him his Tombstone mustache? I mean, honestly, he had a beautifully curved mustache in that movie. Why would you not bring him back
also
with that
one of
mustache?
my favorite movies.
Amazing.
Talking about this movie,
They drink beer in that movie, too.
Stash.
They do. Yeah. Also, apparently, this is the only one that didn't have an official Corona sponsorship or investment.
So was this like their little dig, even though he's like...
That's why he dropped the Corona
Well, he's
part.
like, I prefer Corona, so I wonder if they were just like, let's just keep the Corona thing going.
Maybe that's what the whole bit was about, though. Like,
was it just general, like a big middle finger to Corona?
Yes, absolutely.
I'd prefer Corona, but you know what?
Since there's no Corona here in this movie.
That's exactly,
we're going to pump the monks.
Pump the monks, baby.
Well, they're pumping themselves. Well, maybe not. No, they don't
they
pump themselves.
They pump themselves.
I mean, are they supposed to?
Well, that's a good question. Does celibacy include self pumping?
100%.
I've never been celibate in my life. Then
that's since fucking 13 or 14, maybe. I don't know.
I've been self pumping since the age of 5.
Wow. All right.
I'm just joking.
That is really active. You know what? Not surprising.
He's smacking that monk. All right.
Well, anyways, how do you think that beer was any good? If Kurt Russell personally homebrewed a beer, do you think it would be good? Not even just this character from this movie. Do you think Kurt Russell would do a good homebrew?
I mean, I'd hope he'd have. Well, here's the deal. He has enough money to have somebody brew it on his own home system.
I mean, he's got a lot of stainless in that scene.
He's been a cowboy. He's been an angel. He's been Santa Claus.
Oh shit, that's true.
So
he better be a goddamn good brewer.
So he probably brews some really good beer.
I mean, at some point along the line, he probably has to have picked up some beer knowledge.
Doesn't he have a band too? Like
what?
I think
Kurt
he does.
Russells?
Holy
Is it
shit.
called the Kurt Russells?
Okay, you guys, you know what? we're done talking about this. We're going to go listen to that band right now. Thanks for having us on the show, Ben. We're happy to contribute in any way we can. This movie is fucking dope, and this scene is meaningless and sucks.
Yeah, just like your podcast.
Oh! Episode's over now, bitch.
Hot takes.
The long and the short of it is this guy referred to us because of the fact that Kurt Russell is in this movie as Mr. Nobody, and he's obsessed with his homebrewed Belgian beer. Therefore, we watched a 2-hour, 20-minute, 7th episode of a franchise of Fast and the Furious. History with Fast and the Furious. Anybody big fan?
This was my first full movie. I've seen clips of Tokyo Drift. So, country guy, I was like, oh, hey, I know him. He's extra country. And like, Lil Bow Wow. Oh, sorry, Bow Wow. Yeah, that's it.
This is my first foray into the FF franchise. I've never been labeled as fast. I've gotten furious a couple times. But the two together, this is, I was lost. I did not know who anybody was.
I didn't know.
I did not know why things mattered.
Nope. No clue. I had my history. One of my early roommates was obsessed with this franchise. And so the first 3 played in another room near me consistently. I tried to watch one probably 35 times. I can't make it more than 10 minutes. It's bad. The graphics are bad. The acting is bad. The writing is bad. The concept is bad. How it got to 9 films now doesn't make any sense. But they assume you're watching all of them because it's clear. Because there's a scene where this woman is near a child with Paul Walker. But then Vin Diesel's there. Dom Toretto, I guess is his character's name. I didn't even bother. And I'm like, what is this person's relationship to anybody? I mean, there's a kid coming out of the house, but she doesn't seem like she's like eyeballing Paul Walker like that's the son. That's the father of my son. And earlier he dropped off the kid like the kid was a stranger he'd never met that he's babysitting. So like, who is that? So she's talking to Vin Diesel. I'm like, oh, is this like Vin Diesel's girl? But then they're like, you're my sister. I'm like, what? Okay, who?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the whole Vin Diesel's girl thing, because for the entire part, I guess the first 2 hours of this movie, I thought Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez were brother and sister. And I was very confused by the ending where they are just smashing
just
on
as
each
confused
other.
as Michelle Rodriguez was, apparently, about what her relationship is to this man.
Oh, yeah, because she has amnesia. It was like a Bold and the Beautiful with cars. The first 20 minutes of this movie are laugh out loud. The dialogue is so bad.
Oh my god!
I especially love that it was the race wars. Like they couldn't come up with a better name. But like the usual race war, it was a nightmare, and I don't want any part of it.
Yeah. They're probably like, this is a placeholder. We'll come back to it. Then they just never did. We're like, race wars.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That was like some writer joke. They're like, yeah, race wars. We'll change that later. And then they forgot.
And the worst part is it's a callback, which means there were other movies where they were calling it the race wars.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Paulina, I know this one fact about the Fast and the Furious franchise. Tokyo Drift is the second movie, right?
I think so.
But it turns out they had to retrofit it. It is actually, sequentially, the 6th movie. This is the sequel to Tokyo Drift. So you're caught up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, perfect.
You're in there. If you've seen the clips of Tokyo Drift, you're in.
Clips of it, yeah. It all made sense. I was like, oh, okay. That's when they did the thing in the helicopter, I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because Tokyo.
When everybody said Han was dead, and then they all like looked wistfully into the camera, I got the emotional. I understand now, because his son went to the dark side and killed him. And I thought it was fucked up. He had a picture of Gal Gadot and not of Leia. I mean, I get it. They had a kind of a will they, won't they? But
well, he wasn't very smart. He got confused when they said, "Hey, have a picture of your best gal in there."
Oh boy,
like, got it. That's my best gal.
And a giant cross.
I don't know if you guys were looking for this, but I was like, hey, it's the Furious 7. There's going to be some tie-ins to the Magnificent 7 and 7 Samurai. Did you guys find those parallels?
I have seen neither, so no.
Well, I think there was a nice tie-in with Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman in that it was a bleak dystopian future that I don't want to be a part of.
Ooh, I like.
Okay, I'll throw it out there. I've never had any interest in watching any of these movies, and I was like, okay, I know a lot of interesting people, funny people, smart people, ironically love these, or maybe not even ironically, they don't unabashedly love them. I'll give it a chance. No, it was Furious 7, because 7 is the age that is appropriate for what this movie has. Like, you got cars coming out of a plane with parachutes, man.
And I love the part where they rev up to go out. It's like, gravity's gonna, you're barely making any difference here with physics. And then Paul Walker's like, yeah, I get it. And he just slowly rolls back. He's like, yeah, I know. There's no point in revving it. I'm just going to slowly back out. Everybody's like, I'm going to drive full bore out of here and waste all the gas and like tear it up in here. Idiots.
The skydiving part especially was just like the physics. I need Neil deGrasse Tyson to explain to me how this wouldn't work, because I know it wouldn't, but I don't know the words, and I don't know the formula to tell you the E equals MC squared. Somehow it wouldn't work.
Right. Unless those parachutes are lead with tiny holes in them for wind to pick up and push up. It's like, there's no way those are bulky enough to support the weight of a car falling to Earth from 8,000 feet. Also, Tyrese Gibson is a coward throughout this movie, and I'm not sure about his history in this film, but it always seems like it's his first time ever being involved in anything even close to like this. But he's been in there since the beginning, right? He's not a new addition.
No.
I don't know when he came in.
But he's always confused. He's like, why would we ever do any of these things?
There was one line where he was obviously supposed to be making a joke that was funny, and it was really uncomfortable, where like they were hacking, and he's like, oh, can I check my email? And the camera just kind of lingered on him too long. Like, and I asked my boyfriend, I'm like, did these like lines get laughs in the theater? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, people are crying at the end of this movie. But I was just like, this is bad.
He's definitely he is an actor who you definitely know was a model. This movie is full of actors who were models, athletes, musicians. Yeah, and it shows.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey, I think, steals the show as the
something.
most.
Her one line.
Yeah.
The woman could, her charisma just sucks the room dry. I mean, she has lack of charisma.
Yeah, it's a complete null set on that. But I wanted to bring up Tyrese because he doesn't want to jump out of the airplane. Right. And so Ludacris, Tej, sorry, I know character names. No, I don't. Paulina told me before we recorded. He's scared, so Tej's like, don't worry, I got this. And like makes him fire off his machine. What's it called? We talked about him earlier?
Parachute?
Parachute, yes. From inside there's no way that guy survives, right? that guy's just plummeting from science. He pulled it way too early. There's no way. The wind speeds ripped that apart. He's dead.
Yeah, I mean, parachutes are just, I don't trust them. I wouldn't unless I had to. Like, I don't know if you guys watched The Bachelor, but this season they had a skydiving date because they always do. And she busted her ass.
Yeah. She went face first into the dirt. And I want to know how much the assistant paid those guys to botch that landing. Like, hey, just kind of mess up that landing a little bit.
They got a bonus.
I'll give you like just like $500 if you just accidentally biff this landing, like on purpose.
Yeah.
For sure they paid for it. There's no way. They were that off coming in without being like paid a little something.
Well, because his landing was so smooth, and then she comes in just crashing.
Yeah, and just swaying back and forth to the right and to the left. Like, there's no way. That was not paid for by production to give it a little bit. Like, these guys have no pizzazz. Nobody has anything in this series. Can you please just give him something to like be worried about?
Attempted murder.
Yeah. Because she goes pretty hard. Her face goes pretty hard into that ground. She goes face right in.
I love that they have the microphone so you could hear it.
Yeah. Oh, they knew what they were doing. They're like, we're going to get something good here.
It was good. I mean, I feel like they could do a hybrid of The Bachelor and Fast and the Furious, and I would watch the shit out of it. Like,
oh yeah, all of them competing for the love of a stranger.
Yeah, but they have to like parachute out of a plane in a car.
Drive a car through 3 buildings to deliver a rose to someone.
And if you die, you die.
Yeah.
If you die, you're off The Bachelor.
They give you a rose, but it's on your gravestone.
Oh, speaking of gravestones, There was a scene where he was going to take a sledgehammer to a gravestone, and that was supposed to mean something to us.
Oh, because
I was so
dead.
confused. Yeah, I was
They
so
thought
confused.
she was dead, but she was just amnesia and not coming back to him.
This is a soap opera. This is Guiding Light.
Oh, speaking of people who are like, oh, we don't know if she's coming back. At one point, Paul Walker, Brian, tells his girlfriend, baby on the way mama, that if she doesn't hear from him in the next 24 hours, just walk away and go find a new love. That's it? 24 hours? That's all you got to wait? Like, if you don't hear from me in 24 hours, just call it a day. We're done. What a great out. If you could do that with somebody you didn't want to date anymore, like, hey, if you don't hear from me in 24 hours, just find a new love.
If I heard that, I'd be like, I am definitely getting broke up with. He's not in any danger. I'm just getting dumped.
Yeah. And then she's like, and then he says, goodbye or something. Or no, he says,
like,
I love you.
you.
I love you. She's like, don't say that. It sounds like you're saying goodbye. Say something different. And he goes, give Jack a kiss for me, which sounds even more like I'm never coming back.
Yeah.
And she's like, perfect. Great.
She's like,
Now
say
I
something different. Say something more safe. He's like, call the insurance agent. Make sure we're all paid up. No, that sounds worse.
raise our life insurance limits now.
There was no that's why it's hard to read, right? Like, not having watched the movies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew she wasn't Vin Diesel's chick, but like, it just, I'm like, okay, they're a couple. Like, they have a baby.
Yep, that's correct. And she's Vin Diesel's sister.
Yes,
She has too much hair on her head.
They look nothing alike. I would never consider them family.
Okay, can we talk about how Vin Diesel's black and like nobody wants to talk about it?
Can we talk
He's not
about
a white
that?
man. You know, let's let them be themselves. You don't have to give them white man roles just because they're passing.
Why do you think it's a white man? Oh, because his sister's Jordana Brewster.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. I was like, what conveyed white?
That's weird.
Yeah,
I always
okay.
think, I kind of picture him as like a Latino character.
Interesting.
No, that's Hector.
They're,
Yeah.
He
yes,
got punched in the face.
right.
Hector's the Cholo.
Yeah. But
And
I
he
also,
was okay with it.
Yeah. He was just happy as hell can be.
yeah, it's a weird dynamic for everybody, I think. They're like, we can't have Vin Diesel be black. We've got two other black guys. Why would we? We want this Italian, Hispanic, white man to be the
Named
leader.
Dom. Maybe that's
Yeah.
why I thought he was Italian. Dom Toretto.
Yeah,
that
he's all
sounds like an
about family.
Italian name.
He's like La Familia,
Yeah, right?
Consigliere. He's
always
always
traveling.
saying it.
I'm just saying a 53andMe would be a nice bonus scene if we saw him getting the results of his 53andMe.
Is that a 53?
What
23?
is that? Huh?
What's it?
23. I paid for the
How many
extra.
chromosomes do you have?
I paid for the extra. They do it twice just to make really sure, and then they throw in a bonus extra. Can we talk about when we meet Paul Walker's character? He is just not a dad. He's just not suited for this dad stuff.
Yeah.
And he's driving the minivan. He's got the kid in the car. He's like driving in the wrong lane.
And he's revving it like he's about to get on a race, but he's moving 2 feet.
Yes, a teacher from the school comes out and rescues this man from being a parent because she takes the kid inside. Her credit per Amazon Prime was hot teacher, and there is
To be
no
fair, I was going to
point
ask,
where she
Corky,
should be
was this
called.
teacher hot? Because this teacher was hot.
But there's no flirtation. I was expecting them to
Oh, it
hit
was
on each
flirty.
other.
What were you seeing? That was a flirty interaction. She's like, oh, you'll get used to it. I'll be seeing you a lot, Brian. And then she walks away kind of flouncing. It's clearly flirtatious, and she's clearly hot teacher.
Also,
But
it's
that's
weird she just reached in the car to take the kid.
Yes, yeah.
Boundaries. Like, you don't carry a child into school.
There's a boundaries part later where Rock breaks some workplace boundaries where he's got his underling there, writes her a recommendation, and then touches her shoulder and rubs on her back. I was like, whoa, Rock!
Yeah,
Rock is barely in this movie.
right. But he's a hero, and he gets all the best one-liners. And by best, I mean the worst, least funny one-liners you'll ever hear in a film. And that's all he's there for. He's there to zing some people with, oh my God. I couldn't even
What was
write him
the
down
one?
because it was an insult to my Word
He
document.
He flexed his cast off and said, "Daddy's got to go to work."
At the end, he's like, we'll get through all those levels of concrete. I'll be waiting with my fists and a body bag. What?
He's just freestyling. There's a body bag will be involved somehow in my fist. Or your fist? I'm not sure. Anyway, I'll be there.
When you get down there, it'll be the depths of hell, sir, because it's a long way down.
It cut away and cut back.
The Goo Goo Dolls. You guys remember the Goo Goo Dolls? All rock classics from the mid-'90s. We're doing it. Okay. And then they'll be there, and they'll be like, that guy has like he's got like a cleft lip, and what's going on with that? And then I'm going to punch you, and then you're going to die, and I'm going to put you in a bag. Which he's saying to Chev Chelios.
Jason Statham must have loved filming this movie because he's like, okay, so I don't have any scenes where I actually talk about my character or anything like that, or how I know to show up anywhere. I just show up places and fight, right? They're like, yep. He's like, cool, I'll do that.
And I get to wear two lines, and I have a grenade. No matter what, I have a grenade.
He is always wherever they are, just shows up and then escapes whatever. I mean, when we meet his character at the very beginning, he narrates. Did anybody else catch that? He narrates, and then you're not the main person in this movie. Why are you narrating? And then he never narrates again.
And I think wasn't this his first time in the series, right? Because his brother,
that
was his introduction.
He was supposed to get cast as the guy who was in the hospital bed, but they couldn't get him, so they cast him, killed him off, and then put him in.
Oh, as his brother. It was a scheduling issue. Just throw in some rando for a movie or two, and then we'll get you back later.
Wasn't it the guy who played Dracula?
The guy in the hospital bed?
Yeah.
That's the guy who plays. He's in the Alienist, and he was in Beauty and the Beast, the live action one.
Yeah, he's Dracula.
Gaston.
He's Dracula.
Like in which Dracula movie?
It was like whatever the one that came out with the bats.
Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Dracula 2000. That's all I'm thinking of.
No, after 2000.
Blackula.
No.
Count Chocula the movie.
Count Chocula maybe. Yeah. No, it was like, I think it was supposed to be part of, like, remember they did the Tom Cruise, The Mummy, and they were supposed to do all the monsters, whatever.
Oh, in Van Helsing.
No, it wasn't Van Helsing. That was
So it was he was supposed to be Dracula, but never actually was Dracula?
No, it happened.
It happened.
Swear it happened.
I have no idea.
Oh, in the Wolfman?
No.
Monster Squad.
Monster Mash.
He did do the mash, but no.
Was it a graveyard smash?
It vaguely. I'm Googling it because it happened.
Okay.
Is it Dracula Untold? Yes, it happened in 2014.
That's right before this. He's supposed to be a star, and they're like, kill him.
Mm-hmm. Charles Dance is in it as Master Vampire.
Oh, from Game of Thrones.
I didn't know they released the Dracula.
This is old. It looks like a Batman.
I've never even heard of this.
It happened.
I have heard of it. I have no knowledge beyond the fact that it had a title. I didn't know it came out. I didn't know when. I didn't know who was in it.
I remember a lot of bats. That's it.
Well, vampires turn into bats, right? So it's
You have to yell bat.
Is that right? Is that the rule?
You never watch What We Do in the Shadows?
No.
Bat! And then okay, you should watch it.
Yeah,
Speaking of shadows, that's what they keep describing Chev Chelios as, a shadow.
I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah. I'm like, shadows don't work that way.
No, they slink off in the light. Or
shadows are always attached to you.
But when it's dark, your shadow just becomes a part of everything because everything is shadow because it's dark. And and then you don't know where he is because you're in the dark. And then because you're in the dark, you don't know where he is because that's what it means when they say you're in the dark. It means you don't know what's going on. And so then he slips away because you're in the dark. And then he's a shadow because of that.
But when you're in the dark, you don't have a shadow because you need a light source.
Because there's so much dark, and so he's the shadow. But there was light before, so that he was a shadow. But then you walked into the dark because you didn't know what was happening, and so he became a shadow that was now part of the dark. And then you stayed in the dark, and he was still a shadow, wandering where he wanted to, because the dark doesn't have shadows. But you could still be a shadow because you were used to be a shadow before it was dark. And now you're gone because people lost track of you because those people were in the dark.
You sound like that kid. I'm like, hey, you ever wished you were, you know the one? You know the video. The kid can't finish his sentence.
Well, I nailed it, just so everybody knows that I nailed exactly how he's a shadow, but like a 6-year-old would explain it.
Yeah.
Which this movie's made for, as we discussed. It's for 7-year-olds.
I just thought they should have cast DJ Shadow. If they're going to go with the whole shadow thing.
Or at least had a musical cue for it. Like, he's a shadow, and then just... So
They
the
already
introducing
played-
comes on.
They played 6 weeks, which is a DJ Shadow song.
They didn't play
And-
Bare Naked Ladies 1 week.
And they were watching 9.5 weeks
It's
as it
been-
happened. Oh, also, I don't know if you guys caught this, but it's 2021 now. But this was
Yeah.
2015. But when everybody's going on their crazy adventure, Brian's girlfriend, baby mama, she stayed with a guy named Mando. And he didn't even say this is the way. It was a really weird.
Wasn't Gina Carano in one of these earlier?
Probably.
Because like when I was watching on Prime, and they always have the little pop-up video things, that little fun facts. They said this is the second time a UFC fighter fought Michelle Rodriguez in this series when Ronda Rousey fights her. Gina Carano fought her.
Oh, well. All right. Yeah. So 2 wooden actors.
And this was Ronda Rousey in 2015, where she could still take a punch. Like, if you caught her a year after this, she'd go down with any whiff of a thing touching her jaw.
Yeah, she definitely went in there with Max, like, I'm Ronda fucking Rousey.
Yeah.
But she also looked like she was holding in a fart.
Oh, the whole
like,
time.
Yes,
the
oh,
jaw
that's her.
was really clenched.
That's what
That's
she looks
just
like all the
her.
time. That's her fierce look.
Oh.
Utterly devoid of charisma. And...
I'm going to practice that look. It hurts my jaw.
You know what part I did like? I thought was kind of cool? The part where they're driving down the cliff. That was like a compelling scene, because James Wan can shoot a film, and that was a compelling scene. That's what was so boring about this. Is like, I've seen cars go fast. I've seen chase scenes. I've seen fight scenes. There wasn't anything really interesting or new. That driving down the cliff scene was pretty cool. And then the whole, when the camera would roll with the action, was kind of cool.
Yeah, I did like that. I just wish it was better used. There's a scene where Vin Diesel flips Chef Chelios. Well, no, there's a camera flip, but he doesn't flip. And I'm like, well, why don't we you could just flip him and do this shot. But instead, you just did the shot.
They didn't have the budget for the flip.
Yeah,
I mean, they did save money by not putting sleeves on all the shirts.
Mm-hmm.
That did save more money for the effects. But it wasn't enough for that flip.
How many gratuitous bikini shots were there in this too? Where, I mean, you get like full, just from behind the cheeks.
Oh, man, so many. They're like, oh, we're going to have a race-off. We should definitely just focus on this girl's butt for 35 seconds. Oh, you're in Abu Dhabi in the desert? You know what fellas walking around? A bunch of smoking hot babes in bikinis.
And even Natalie Emanuel is integral to the part. She's the hacker, Ramsey. There's the most gratuitous, just frolicking in her bikini in the beach
It was
scene.
very James Bond, like bikini girl.
Yes. Very gratuitous. I mean, there was no reason for that shot.
It's so they could have the conversation about how they're going to make her theirs. They're going to call dibs. They're going to call dibs. You know, these 35-year-old men are going to call dibs.
Yes, that's right.
A hacker who's too hot to be a hacker because hot chicks don't need computers.
They're definitely at least 40.
Look, I'm trying to.
Yeah, Ludacris was definitely 40 at this time.
I feel like Ludacris, like with his one-liners, like even if they weren't good, his delivery was good.
Yeah,
like he was the only character where, like, I was like, oh, okay, I don't hate him.
Mm.
Did you disagree, Corky? He's like, I hope he dies.
No, I think Ludacris is definitely less is more with him. Like when you give him more to do, it's not as good. Tyrese is just bad.
Yeah.
Ludacris isn't bad. He's not bad.
I think he's the best part of the movies, and that's not saying a lot.
Vin Diesel is bad. He's not good in this. Like that scene where the car blows up at the Jordana Brewster's house. That scene of him turning around and looking at the explosion. I fucking was crying. I was laughing so hard at that look on his face. Talk about looking like you got a hold in a fart.
Yeah.
You're just letting it go.
The explosions in this movie don't make any sense also.
There were a lot of them.
There were a lot of explosions. Everybody's like, okay, so in the beginning, The Rock gets blown out of the FBI? CIA?
They're like a made-up
BSS
or something.
It was because Jason Statham throws a bomb on the ground, and then it explodes. It detonates like 300 feet and blows out like multiple levels, and they survive like a 10-story fall. And then the news is like, he fell from a 3rd-story window. I'm like, that was definitely more than 3 stories. But they survived.
the car broke their fall.
Yeah.
And she landed on top of him. And then, are you okay? But wouldn't get off of him.
Yeah. And the next day she's like in there after the bomb for Vin Diesel and what's her name and Brian. The house blows up and it barely gets to like the edge of their yard, but it destroys their entire house in like multiple blasts. And then Vin Diesel's like, I'm going to go check out the FBI real quick. And Elena, who also got blown out the window from 10 stories high, is walking around like nothing happened to her.
No.
Absolutely nothing.
There's no consequences. That scene, which is supposed to be the big scene in this movie where they drive the car through 3 buildings, out one building into another, go through that building into another. The next scene is them all arriving someplace like they had a rough party, right? It's like no cops came, no SWAT team came to arrest the people who just drove through the building.
Yeah, they
you
wiped
were
out
all allowed to leave that.
Asian artifacts.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But the car fell onto nobody, so it's fine. And not
Sure.
Mr. Nobody, the nickname for Kurt Russell's character. It fell onto literally not a person.
But like, think about that. Like, Paul Walker and Vin Diesel are in a wholly different building than the other people, and they just meet up down. They're like, all right, we'll see you guys down on the ground.
Yeah, and
Grab a continental breakfast on the way out.
And in order to distract them so that they could do this ridiculous prank or stunt or whatever you want to call it, Tyrese is like, his job is to do what Tyrese does, which is distract the whole group of people at the party by telling a woman it's her birthday and that's why they're having this big party. I'm pretty sure everybody in attendance knows why they're having the party, and there's a prince involved. Nope, they're like, yep, this guy is weird. Let's let him talk for 12 minutes. And he definitely, look at all these people. The security comes out and they like run by people walking towards where the security is coming from. Like, that can't be what this is about. We got to go.
That's not suspicious at all.
We all got to run and go not do anything to this guy who's interrupting the party.
Yeah, that was bad. It's just like the singing and just all of it. The whole scene lasted way too long.
Yeah,
I mean, it had
the whole
to
movie.
because they were like hacking in, whatever. But like, that would not actually distract a party.
Well, so the very beginning of this movie, again, like I said, Jason Statham narrates and offers some atrocious dialogue. He's seeing his brother in a hospital bed, says, I'm going to take it now. I'm going to fight them. So, okay, he's the big bad in this movie. But then he leaves a hospital that's like blowing up and there's dead cops, dead nurses. He gives a grenade to a cop. Was that like from Furious 6? Is that how that ended? And that's why? Or was that just what?
I will say, this is my favorite part of the movie, looking back at it, is he's just talking to his brother, mano a mano. His brother's laid up in the hospital. He's just having this like heart-to-heart about how he's going to avenge him. And then they cut back, and there's like 2 orderlies like, oh my God, I can't believe we're still here while this crazy man invaded us. Like, that's pretty funny that he invaded the room. And then like, oh wait, wider shot, he's also taken out a bunch of SWAT officers and police in order to do this. Like, that's pretty good, Furious 7. And then they fade out like, oh, he destroyed this entire hospital to get in here. I'm like, you know what? Pretty good. Pretty good. That they're having
so that's what it was. It was just to get in there. That wasn't like the ending of 6 being, okay, wow.
Yeah, he was just going to tell his brother that he was there to avenge him. I mean, that's pretty good. It's pretty good, like, reveals, I think. Because I didn't know that he was being watched by people in terror. I didn't know he'd just taken out like 80 people. I didn't know he destroyed a hospital to be there. I'm like, this is pretty good. Maybe I'm actually in. And then immediately I was out.
I think I also misunderstood it because I was like, oh, this must be picking up. I didn't like immediately think that he had done all of that to get in there. I was just like, oh, this is probably just picking up right where the other one left off.
I mean, it's very possible. I did not go back and watch 6. I thought about it. I did not do it.
I mean, after seeing the movie, it's like, oh, okay. I get they were trying to say he did it because he can kill like 1 million people.
Yeah.
With his
then effectively kills only one person for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell, right?
No, Kurt Russell lived.
Or did
he live?
Yes.
He had a helicopter coming to save him.
Yeah.
And his Belgian ale.
I was checked out.
He gets shot and he does that movement like, oh, I'm down. They slow it down. Oh, I'm dead. Then he winks at Dom, and then he gets shot 3 more times, and then Dom drags him off like he's just been shot in the legs, because he's dragging him like, you only got shot in the legs. And then he reveals later that he's got a bulletproof vest on, and you've got to come try this Belgian ale, which we have not talked about. You need to come try this Belgian ale.
We haven't addressed it.
Which is why it was referred to us. We referred to this movie because there's beer in it. Kurt Russell's character, Mr. Nobody, who is also a shadow, who hunts shadows in the daytime. He's never out at night. is an avid homebrewer of only Belgian ales, and he really wants Dom Toretto.
I think I missed the line where he said it was a homebrew, because he definitely said, he took a sip and he's like, those monks know how to do it right.
It's true.
So I was like, okay, he's drinking a Belgian beer. Did he say it was a homebrew?
I don't think he did. I think the boys, BOYSZ, at Drink Something Say Something said it was homebrewing, but in the movie it does not even imply that it's homebrew. It is very much like, hey, you got to try this Belgian ale that we have on tap here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't catch that he was a home brewer either. I just thought he was just really nuts for those Belgian ales, man.
Okay, Kim, I think I figured out what beer it is. I think it's Fat Tire.
Oh.
We were talking about the color.
Yes.
That's amber. It's a Fat Tire. That is not, there's no Belgian ale that is that color.
Yeah, it's a light amber, so we can rule out a double because that's a thick, chewy, malty, brown substance.
Yeah, it's not a quad.
Not a quad.
It's too dark to be a golden ale.
Yeah.
I like maybe a saison, but like usually they're not that dark.
Yeah, and I think people would more point to that as a French style. Like, I narrowed it down to a poorly made Tripel, because it's kind of the right color, but not. Or an Americanized Belgian Pale.
I'm going to say it's New Belgium Fat Tire. Ain't no monks.
I'm going to go ahead and look up what a Fat Tire looks like, because it's been years since I've had one.
Yeah, like before you drink like real beer.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. I remember.
Let's see. Nope, I think this is too dark. I think this is
Is it too dark?
I think it's too dark.
I don't know. It wasn't the right color. Also, like, most Belgian ales are not really filtered.
Yeah.
And it was like clear beer.
Clear. I was like, he's drinking out of a Hefeweizen glass, but it's clearly not a Hefeweizen because it's much too clear.
Yeah.
And I wish he would have told people about what he was tasting, you know, why it's so tremendous. He's like, it's just a really great beer you should try. Why? Why, Kurt Russell? Whatever.
I mean, if you're really into like the Belgian, you'd have the chalice, the branded chalice of whatever Belgian brewery it is, because that's what Belgian nerds do.
Yeah. Maybe it's a Belgian blonde?
It's too dark.
It's just the color's all wrong. It doesn't look like any Belgian beer I've seen. But
the SRM is off.
Yeah. Did they write this script in 2006 when Belgians were hidden? And then in 2015, they're like, oh, maybe we don't talk about this because we don't know anymore. It's such a weird, like, beer nerds are a thing. We should appeal to them with this Belgian.
It's really specific, but really vague.
Yeah. Now, I did consider that his nickname is Mr. Nobody. But I was thinking maybe it is a homebrew, and there was like a small problem with it. It wasn't a very full beer. It had no body, and he was a homebrewer who is known for his beers being very thin. And then, like, every time we put it into a homebrewing challenge, they'd be like, "This is a pretty good beer. Doesn't look like a Belgian, and there's no body." And he took on a nickname in the homebrewing industry called Mr. Nobody.
Yeah, it's like, why did the skeleton not go to the party? Because he had no body to go with.
Classic. Why isn't Corona a Belgian ale?
Because it's Mexican. Well, it's not even Mexican anymore.
But I'm always belching when I drink it. Fuck yeah! Retire the podcast.
That should have been in the movie.
Perfect.
That should have been Vin Diesel's retort to the offer of the Belgian ale.
Yeah. Kurt Russell tells him he's Mr. Nobody, and then he tells Vin about the being caught in the middle of ghosts and shadows, and then says he's going to go grab a beer, and that Vin Diesel's welcome to join him. Cut to Kurt Russell having a Belgian ale, which he offers to Vin, who says he's more of a Corona guy, and then Kurt Russell pulls out a whole Corona bucket of Coronas. Like he had it.
I definitely got the impression that Kurt Russell wanted to fuck Vin Diesel. Like he was
I
really...
saw it.
He was laying it on. He's like, I did my research.
Yeah.
He had his drinks already. I know what you like to drink. I'm trying to get you to like my thing, but
he gave him, yeah.
He's like, I want you in my world, but I'm like willing to go back to your world. You know, I
and then the wink. The
you
wink.
You call me Mr. Yo Body.
Because I'm all about it. But I want to know, so he's in a warehouse at this time that's clearly for professional purposes. Did he have to expense those Coronas and that bucket, or did he already have them from home?
They were on ice, too.
Yeah. It came with the warehouse.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, one of those little
every time you
toss-ins.
buy a warehouse, it comes with a bucket of Corona.
because of all the work they're going to have to do. Like, look, man, this is kind of a fixer-upper. You're going to be in there. It's going to be hot. You're going to need something cool to cool you down. I'll throw in a bucket of Coronas and a Corona bucket. It's yours. All you got to do is pay $18 million for this hanger that doesn't work.
I just imagine him calling his assistant. Yes, get the ice on it now. He's with me in the car. I'm coming now.
If they're not throwing in ice, I'm not throwing down my bling. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. And that's how they would talk in this movie. And I'm sorry I said it, and I apologize.
The dialogue is so horrible in this movie. Like, the first couple lines in this movie where they say things like, roads are good for telling you where you've been and where you're going. It's like, that's what roads do. They help you get between places.
The line at the funeral with Paul Walker, he's like, oh no, just one more funeral. And like, obviously it was implied, right? And then it goes to cuts away and it's like, for him. Like, yeah, we knew who you were talking about.
Everybody got it.
Speaking of roads, there is their first planned attack when Kurt Russell hires them. Like, we're going to go to this impenetrable base, and these guys, they're doing whatever they're doing. They can't be penetrated. And then Tyrese is like, hey, what if we went right here? Like, you can't get there. There's no way to get there. And that's when they decide to parachute planes down or parachute their cars down. But then when the cars land, they land on a road, and then they encounter the bad guys
Go-Go Gadget
on a road.
suspension.
So why could they not have accessed that point, considering the point was a road that clearly exists?
They just built a road with no actual entrance to it. You have to parachute onto that road.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the classic just road to nowhere?
It's called Parachute Road.
Oh. And they're like, how do we
It
get
sounds
in
like
there?
a Bruce Springsteen song.
Well, you're right. I didn't even think of that. The road that just starts randomly and goes exactly the length of road you need to have a full-on fight.
Do your research, Ben.
I'm sorry. That's on me.
Yeah, that whole scene was like, everyone should be dead. A lot of brain damage. Like Vin Diesel, at the very least, has CTE, if not much more brain damage, because he did not wear a helmet.
And they run up on these guys like they won't be armed with heavy artillery, right? They won't be expecting anybody, even though we've been told that they're expecting everybody all the time. And then they like disarm one guy. Like, our next step in the plan is to have Paul Walker bust out his window and climb onto the front of the car with no weaponry and no protection, and then jump onto a bus that we know has people who are actively seeking guns when he busts the window out. Then he jumps onto the bus like 20 seconds later. They still don't have guns. He beats them all up, and then finally one guy managed to get a gun that he takes away. That's counting on a lot.
It's a lot.
When you mentioned helmets, it reminded me of that part where he tells Natalie Emanuel she's passenger in the car, and he's like, put on a helmet. She reacts as if she's never heard of the concept of a helmet. And she's like, a helmet? And she's like looking around, and then it's obviously in her lap, and she just picks it up.
I also appreciate that in that scene when he decides to go down the mountain. I already forgot his name. British evil guy. He's watching. He's like, interesting. Like he was like really impressed with his idea to like just tumble down this mountain.
Oh yeah, because he's on foot and everybody else is like taking off at like 105 miles an hour. And
like he had like a sniper on him. He was like really intrigued with what was happening.
Now, I don't know if anybody else saw this, but when Paul Walker is on that bus and they're like chasing people, at some point more cars do things. Then this like old guy pulls up and he's like a bad guy and he's fighting and he looks just like Mayor Cuomo, and then he gets impaled by a tree. So
I did see that. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. 2021, Mayor Cuomo getting impaled by a tree for his crimes. So that's
hashtag not my mayor.
Why do big city mayors all suck?
Because they're mayors. Because they are politicians.
Is that why they've risen to the level that they can? The Peter principle.
Yeah.
I mean, normal good people wouldn't want to be the mayor of a big city, right?
Right.
Or in politics.
Yeah. Anybody who wants power.
No, there's a lot of nice people.
Since we're on that fight scene, I noticed that Paul Walker, he gets on that bus. It's a convoy bus. And that's where Ramsey is. That's where he rescues her. And then the bus flips over and it's like sliding toward an abyss off a cliff. but the way that they shoot it, it's clearly losing momentum really quickly, and there's no way it's going to get there. But then they keep shooting different angles, so it keeps getting closer, even though the first shot establishes it's never going to get there. And then he runs up the bus and jumps and leaps towards the cliff because it's falling off the cliff, and he grabs a side rail on Michelle Rodriguez's car, and then later she like pulls over, and there are no rails on her car.
You have Ben with his own goofs.
Continuity error.
Goofs and
Can you
laughs.
believe that this movie has those?
The force of him swinging onto it ripped it off. Because obviously it wouldn't rip his arms off, but it would rip off part of the car.
I mean, yes.
There's a lot of what happens in this movie with cars is just like on the power of awesomeness. Just that whole part of driving through three buildings, that was just done by the power of awesomeness, right?
Right.
Like, people in the audience go, "That is so awesome," and that's how that works. Like, he even fires a bazooka into the back of the car, and that propels it even farther into the building.
Well, I mean, we're 7 movies deep in a series
because it wouldn't have made it.
Cars are awesome.
Yeah.
So that tracks.
It reminded me of that scene in Triple X where, shout out Vin Diesel, where someone jumps a motorbike over a building and the building just blows up because a motorcycle drove over it. It's like, of course a building has to blow up.
I think I only saw the first one. I don't remember it.
Yeah, don't watch the one with Ice Cube. The one with Vin Diesel's actually pretty good.
Wait, that's the...
Like State of the Union or something like that. Triple X State of the Union.
Oh. You know, there's also, I think it's Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but it might be Rise of the Planet of the Apes, where I was watching it with my girlfriend, and there's a helicopter on the Bay Bridge firing at all these apes and monkeys and everything like that. And there's this big old one. I'm like, I hope that one jumps onto this helicopter and the helicopter explodes because it got attacked by a giant ape. And then that happens, and it's the best. I'm like, yes, of course.
I
Just
vaguely
being hit
remember
by
that
like a 2,000-pound beast causes this helicopter to explode. Like, this is the best movie of all time. By the way,
is it like an orangutan?
Yes, and I'm like, yes, okay. Planet of the Apes, the new ones, best trilogy of all time. Go watch them; they're so good. I also bought them. First one on DVD, second one on Blu-ray, third one on 4K. So it also like progresses naturally the way that the special effects progress. So it's like the coolest way to watch it. So I'm just like super on board for that.
Okay, but when do you watch the Mark Wahlberg one?
Never, ever. The Tim Burton Mark Wahlberg one will never, ever see the light of day in my home.
Okay.
I got no comment.
But maybe on Dare Daniel.
Oh.
Have you guys done that one?
We haven't. We did do a Mark Wahlberg movie, Renaissance Man.
Oh, wait, what?
I've never seen that.
The movie with Danny DeVito as a
He's
drill
in
sergeant.
that?
Yeah.
No, I was like, Renaissance Man's Danny DeVito.
He even wrote a rap to go along with it, and we reviewed the rap video because it's so bad. Shockingly, a Mark Wahlberg rap is bad.
I know I listened to every episode of Dare Daniel, and I know you guys did that.
Wait, I thought Donnie wrote his raps.
Did he?
Oh boy,
you're breaking some Wahlberg news here.
That's what I heard.
I heard. No way, Donnie wrote Field of Vibrations.
Let's look at the writing credits for Good Vibrations.
This is incredible because you're telling me that Donnie Wahlberg is the better writer, and if we watch the movies, the better actor of the Wahlberg brothers. And yet,
Mark Wahlberg can act sometimes.
Donnie Wahlberg was decent in The Sixth Sense as the guy who dies, and one of the guys who dies, the one that's clearly dead. And then he has a role in another movie that's like a kidnapping movie with Mel Gibson. He's pretty good in it.
Wahlberg was good in Fear. And
Fear's a classic, obviously.
Yeah, Boogie Nights.
Donnie Wahlberg was in one of the Saw movies.
Saw 2. He takes over as the detective. That's the most unbelievable thing, a Wahlberg being a detective.
Nope, I'm sorry. Mark Wahlberg plays a detective plenty of times.
Okay, I'm on the Wikipedia.
Okay.
Wikipedia, Good Vibrations, parentheses, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch song. Songwriters, first credit, Donnie Wahlberg. Second credit, Mark Wahlberg.
Feel It was a Donnie?
No, that was a Mark.
Mind is blown.
Oh, it's about that time to bring forth the rhythm and the rhyme.
That's Donnie. Feel It is Mark.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. He's more intuitive.
This is the most incredible thing that's ever happened.
Speaking of bad music, there was bad music all throughout Fury 7, except for the DJ Shadow song. But there's a lot of dance music that is just bad.
I especially hate the song. The song at the end, the credits, that's
Yes.
supposed to bring you emotions.
Yes.
Like, I hate that song. I hate Charlie Puth, however it's pronounced, and his stupid eyebrow. I hate all of his music. I hate the way he sings. It's just bad.
Who's Charlie Puth? I think you're making shit up now.
He's a real person. He does the singing. Like, it's been a long time, whatever. He didn't do the rapping.
Oh,
Because that's Wiz Khalifa.
speaking of great rappers, Iggy Azalea makes an appearance in this movie. And I thought she was Australian.
Yeah.
So was she doing,
She's like Australian by way of America.
what does that mean? Like Crocodile Dundee?
I think she moved to America in like her teens or something for like modeling. So she has accents that's like vaguely there.
Gotcha, okay.
Because it's not quite Australian accent when she
No,
speaks. It's like,
It just sounded like a white girl trying to talk like she has a lot of black friends. That's what it sounded like.
that's
I
Iggy
don't know what part of Australia gives you that. God, I'm trying to look up.
The South Coast?
Yeah, that's the South Coast. I Vamos by J Balvin and Nicky Jam. That was the one that really, I was like, this is awful.
J Balvin is my jam. That's
Oh,
not
you
my
like
favorite
him?
song by him, but
Okay.
one of the best concerts I've been to. It was really fun. They had like clouds dancing on the stage.
Wait, like people dressed as clouds dancing on the stage, or was it like we created a crap?
Yeah, like cartoon looking clouds and rainbows.
But were they
Oh, that's
people
nice.
wearing those, or were they like on a screen?
Was it actual condensed water dancing on stage?
It was condensed milk.
One of the villains in this movie, we haven't even mentioned him because there's no point in it. Jaimin Onsu is a villain in this movie.
For like 10 minutes.
He's in there all the time. Here's what his roles are. Man who walks confidently through building with gun during one of the gunfights. You could tell it's him because he's walking more confidently with bolder strides than anybody else in his army. Which, by the way, at one point, Vin Diesel says, halfway through the movie, there's a war coming. We got to get ready. You've been fighting armies like for 45 minutes. You're in the war, buddy. Why are you saying this now? And then his other role is to tell his people who are, I would assume, on his team that knows their goal is to take out the Furious Seven and like make sure that they secure the God's Eye, which allows you to find people through like other people's cell phones, like in Batman.
Yeah, that's the MacGuffin.
Yeah, it's the MacGuffin. But he's always telling them to fire and to go turn that way. That's their job. It's like, hey, that guy's getting away. Well, go after him. It's like, I think they knew that. They were just informing you because you're the leader, but they know what the goal is here. But he's always like, fire your missiles. Like, we know we've got him on target. We were just telling you, hey, we've got this guy on target. You don't need to tell me to fire my missile. I'm a professional. But that's all he does. He just like tells them what to do when it's obvious what they should be doing.
He's a delegator for sure.
And he's an incredible actor, and he's completely wasted in this movie.
Yeah, and
Isn't
he
Jaimin
deserved
Hansu's-
better. Like he's way too good for this movie.
Way too good.
He's too good for this movie.
And they don't use him at all.
He walked confidently through that building.
He did.
I think he nailed that.
Everything he does, super confident. Everything he does, no need for it to happen.
Everybody's really pretty, huh? Except for Vin Diesel. Everybody in this movie is very attractive.
Michelle Rodriguez often looks confused, which takes me out of her beauty. She looks mad in scenes where she's supposed to be happy.
They should have one Uggo on the team just to kind of like make it a little more real. Like the guy who's way too into cars and not hygiene.
Oh, that's ludicrous. I think.
Luda.
You mentioned earlier that there's a song that plays during the emotional impact scene. The emotional impact scene is when Vin Diesel has the least violent car wreck in the movie, and then everyone's like, oh my god, he might be dead from this one. And they're doing CPR, and Michelle Rodriguez tells Paul Walker to stop doing it because she wants him to die. But then it turns out she's like, no, he's totally alive. He's just in a lot of pain, and he's going to get through it. I'm going to talk him through it. And that if they just give him a pep talk and acknowledge his pain, And while she's doing that, she remembers that they got married and had a wedding. And then she remembers their vows. Her vow is, if you die, I die. Which he does not return. He does not return that vow, which is clear because she did die and he did not die.
It's
Wait,
very
so
Ike Turner, like what's love got to do with it?
Eat the cake
he's
anime?
like, yeah, if you die, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
They just watched The Notebook and they're like, if you're a bird, I'm a bird. What's kind of like that? And they're like, if you die, I die. Or if I die, you die. Or they watch Rocky IV and he's like, if he dies, he dies. They're like,
Meld the two.
that's love.
Put those two together. But she comes out of her flashback. Dom comes out of his nearly death. And then everybody cries because she's like, they remember that she remembers and that she knows they're married. And everybody cries. And then she asks him, why didn't you tell me that we were married? And he says, because you can't tell someone they love you. And then no one cries. That's the best line in the movie. That's the part where I would cry.
Mm-hmm.
That's heartbreaking.
I was expecting some kind of like Fight Club twist where we find out that she's just been a figment of his imagination the whole time. Like she really did die. And because like you
Before
only
this whole
ever
series
see,
started?
you only ever see her with him. Like he's talking to her and everybody's like, man, he talks to himself a lot. But to him, he's talking to her. That would have been what a fucking twist in the Fast and the Furious franchise. Like 8 isn't even about cars anymore. It's just some like long examination of his his anguish.
What does F8 do? Because it's spelled F8 of the Furious. Is that the delete short code back in the day? Or exit?
Function 8.
Exit. We're out. Get out of this thing.
No, it's fate. It's F8 is fate, and that's what it is. It's everybody just contemplating their future.
Well, because Paul Walker doesn't appear in the 8th film for a reason, unfortunately.
He passed away while making 7. Did you guys did you ever notice anything like that they were using a double?
Yeah, they used his brother. And there like the scenes you could really tell like the lighting was off on his face.
Yeah, the lighting was off. He looked like a cutout, yeah.
Yeah, they used his brother as a double because he looks a lot like him.
I saw one scene that I thought was rotoscoped. It was like footage that they had used before, but they kind of just changed his emotions on it.
Yeah, towards the end especially, the last goodbye scene where they don't say goodbye.
Aw.
Ghost the ghost.
Yeah, it wasn't really well edited, like the rest of the movie.
Yeah, you could tell they're like, we got to make a scene where we let this guy go back to his family, and that's why he's not in future films, while also honoring his... We don't need him to speak because we don't need him to say goodbye, and it's a bummer.
I mean, kill the character off. Make it, like, more interesting. No, I'm serious. Like, one of the best things that ever happened to The Sopranos was that the actress who played the mother, died in between seasons 2 and 3. And I say it's the best thing that happened in the show because it forced them, because they were just going to keep writing that whole Tony fights with his mom thing. And then what it did was it forced them to have a good episode about death, about how the untidiness of death, how you don't resolve all your issues and how it's just done. And now you have to, and it forced them to do that. You can get but I mean, the Fast and the Furious franchise is not caring about that kind of shit. It's PG-13 for a reason. Nobody's going to actually die. There's no blood from any bullets. There's no actual nudity. It's just crotch shots in bikinis.
And one of the subtle ways that they deal with this movie is that their king is dead. And so they will no longer hoist the crown. They, at the final scene, do not drink Coronas. They drink Bud Light.
I did not notice that.
It really confused me because I thought they were trying to haul a whole truckload of Coors before Smokey got them. He's panning down, loaded up and trucking. What if F8 was just a whole remake of Smokey the Bandit? Like they're like, fuck all the international spy terrorism shit. We're just trying to run some beer across state lines.
We're keeping it simple. That's what we did in the first 2 movies.
I mean,
they finally realized they don't need Tyrese at all.
Well, it's his first mission every time. So if I'm properly understanding his character from this episode, this film, and like working it back, it seems like he's always it's his first time every time. Maybe he's got amnesia also.
That would make sense.
Let's write that. Can we write these movies? Let's write
It's
these movies.
like 50 First Dates.
Yeah.
It's Fast and the Furious, but everyone has amnesia. Like, they all have it, and they're all just trying to... Wait, we do what now?
Okay, but if he had amnesia, but like in the beginning of the race wars, she's like, I gotta go fast. You know how I do. And he's like, no, don't do it. And then at another point, when like Han died, she's like, he was my family too. I'm like, wait, how much does she know?
Yeah.
If she doesn't remember?
And if you have amnesia and someone says, I'm taking you to the race wars, you're like, wait, what? What are we doing?
Well, she says, where are you taking me? And he's like, here, to the race war. Because they pan out to this city in the middle. Like, they built a full city to have race wars where people are like dancing in the streets. They're playing music. They're like doing car washes. You know, like you do. You just throw in all kinds of bikini car washes, which made me think, like, when I'm going to like big celebrations, are these people doing this naturally or have they been paid to do this? Because I would never go to a place and be like, you know what'd be really cool right here? A car wash. I would never have done that naturally. People are like, hey, you know what'd be really cool here to bring in eyes and maybe sell some merch? A car wash. That would make sense. So now I just feel like every big event I've been to is a lie.
It has
Probably.
been, because wherever you go, when cars peel off, there's not a crowd of girls that go, yay! Like there was
It's
at this
true.
race.
Comedy shows are very lacking in girls in bikinis going yay.
Yay! And actual car races are loud and boring. It's just very loud, very smoky. You watch a car go by, and then it's like, all right, that's gone now. There's nothing else to watch.
But if you're close enough, you can get a piece of rubber that flies off of a tire, like I did when I was a child.
I've actually never been to a car race. I was just talking a lot of shit.
No, they're terrible. They're super boring, and I don't understand.
Really,
it.
I don't get it. Why, you might as well just go watch traffic. Just go sit on the bridge and watch an overpass and watch the freeway.
Yeah, and those crashes are more funny because they're so avoidable. You're like, why is this guy doing this? My favorite car crash. Can I tell you my favorite car crash of all
Wait,
time?
what? How do you have a favorite car crash?
When you hear this story, you're like, I know how he has a favorite car crash.
All right.
So I'm on the 50, heading east from Midtown to Folsom, Tahoe, wherever I was going that day, heading east. And there's the merge from the 99 onto the 80 or the 50. And cart's narrowing down. There's a lane that has to exit, right? And then there's the next lane. And in the next lane is a semi that's got like 3 trailers, right? So it's a long semi. It's a pretty obvious
That's a
semi.
big, yeah, that's
Like
a big semi.
you can't miss this semi. It's so big. And the traffic is at a complete standstill. And this SUV pulls up in the lane that's ending on car number, again, it's holding 3 trailers. It's on trailer number 2. That's where it stopped in traffic. Traffic starts to move. This car makes a left into the big-ass trailer tire. Loud pop. Airbag deploys. Glass shatters. Car's ruined at like 1.5 miles an hour. I'm like, how did you miss all of this? We've been stopped for like 5 minutes. Did you forget it was there? Like this car barely moved. It moved like 1.5 feet angled left and just boom, just pop. And then the man's crying. Like, how did you even do this? How is it possible to do what you did?
The unabashed joy on your face while telling us the story of this person.
You know what? He should probably sue Fast and the Furious.
No, he was in this car like
He
this some bitch.
probably thought he could drive through it.
Well, he probably thought he could
this
drive
some bitch is
under
gonna
it
get over.
because early in the movie, Paul Walker's like, I got a trick for this. When the Predator comes down, he's like, I got a trick. I'm gonna do this thing, and he like goes underneath a semi truck, like Clark Griswold in The Christmas Vacation. And I'm like, oh, I know this trick from 1987's Christmas Vacation.
That's your reference for going under.
Yeah, it is, and it should be everybody's.
Big Rick. Mine is Hardcastle and McCormick because that was in the opening credits of that TV show. Ferrari or a Lamborghini driving under a Big Rig. That's cool.
That's so cool. Do you have one, Paulina? A car going under Big Rig point of reference?
No,
Well, now you do. Ben's crash story.
I don't.
And
I'm
let me
sorry.
tell you, when they had that chemical warehouse full of all those barrels that Jaimin Hansu walked through like he meant to be there, this is the same chemical warehouse that they used in Spawn.
Uh-huh.
So that's where my mind goes when I'm watching these movies. I'm like,
There's for a long movie with a lot of stuff that happens, nothing happens,
Nothing
and not a
happens.
lot is to pay attention to. It's really a very boring movie for as loud as it is.
My boyfriend was like, "Oh, if you were gonna watch this, we could have marathoned all of them."
how are you doing?
We're good.
Jeannie just gonna get you.
Did you watch all these?
No, I did not.
Did you watch the previous or the next?
No, I just watched this last night.
Me too. And this morning. Would it surprise you to learn that in just 2 movies, The Rock and Jason Statham will be the leads of a dual movie where they are on the same team?
The guy who killed the whole hospital.
I knew that was happening.
He killed the whole hospital just to talk to his brother,
And
his comatose brother.
the first person you sought out was The Rock. And now they're... And again, one of them promised to be there with a fist in the body bag. And they are on the same team and such good friends that they are a tag team.
Calvin and Hobbes.
A full movie. Yes, Calvin and Hobbes is the movie. And I was told it was the best Fast and the Furious movie. I was like, great, I'll watch it. Guess what? It is unwatchable. It is bad. Like, if you thought this movie was bad, the other movie is worse. But it's supposed to be the best. They've made 9 of these.
I can't believe that's
Like Corky's
crazy.
hair.
Yeah, my hair is bad. All right, let's get to the end of this sucker.
I think we've already done that.
Okay.
I want to not thank the boys at Drink Something, Say Something for mentioning this movie casually when Paulina was discussing this podcast with them.
You guys are cheating on me?
Like separately.
Not together,
Right.
because that
No.
would be weird.
Well, but we
Okay.
both did podcasts with the same people,
That's okay. I'm not gonna
but
shame
not
you.
together.
We all have history.
It's like your mom and your dad cheat on each other, but with the same person.
Yeah, but separately and in secret both times.
There's a good Mr. Show sketch about that. No, he cheats on the whole family. He's cheating with the whole family.
Oh, he cheated with the whole family. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Sweet, sweet Gerald.
There's a really good documentary on Netflix. This girl gets kidnapped
Oh no.
by like a neighbor.
I hate this.
And the
one.
mom and the dad both had separate affairs with him.
No,
Yeah,
It's the
you know
worst.
the one.
That
It's so
one. It's the worst
bad.
documentary because it's like, oh my god, parents were so bad in the 70s. I'm like, I feel
I
like
wanna
I know
punch
a lot
those
of parents
parents.
that would do that. They're the
Both
worst
of them.
parents of all time.
that was the dumbest fucking family.
They have the nerve to try to talk about cancel culture now, but like, where was cancel culture back then when you were letting people like take your daughter away from you?
In fact, yeah. It seems like you might be boning my daughter, but do you mind if we also bone? What if you gave me a blowy in the back of a rental car?
It was a handy.
Oh, you're right. It was a handy. Sorry. Man, there's no way out of this one. Let's get out of this. That was in a car, and this movie's also about cars.
Take us home, Ben.
My best-
Take us home.
My best way to do this is that there were cars in both of these things, and one of them is real and sad, and one of them is fake and preposterous and unbearable. So beers in this movie: Corona, an undisclosed Belgian,
Bud Light.
and Bud Light. Is it a beer movie?
No, it's definitely
No.
not a beer movie. Just because there's a couple references and one character who really, in the most unnatural way, is obsessed with Belgian ale. No.
Would you watch the follow-up, which is Fate of the Furious, F8 of the Furious? Just,
Is there beer?
I am told that they will continue their Corona ways. Thoughts on Corona, the beer?
I like it with a lime.
It tastes like 1920
What does that mean?
Like before I knew any better.
Oh, you're saying 19 or 20, your ages, not the year 1920.
Oh yeah, not the year.
Oh, I was also taking the year.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah, like The Great Gatsby. 19, 20.
Paulina's like, it tastes like the second year of World War One when we were in the trenches.
Sounds like the lead up to the Depression. Do we have anything else to discuss about this thing we did?
When we watched Smokey and the Bandit, I said it was Honky Tonk Fast and Furious, even though I'd never seen Fast and Furious, and I was right.
Bring
It's
it
true.
all together. That's pretty accurate. Hey, we've been doing this thing for like 6 or 7 months now, right?
Yeah.
I don't know many more beer-centric movies besides the obvious ones. So listeners, if you have a beer-centric movie you think is slipping under the radar, you go ahead and let us know, and we'll do it.
I say we watch the 1983 movie, Loretta Swit movie called Beer.
I actually am on board for that.
1985.
Oof, never mind. I heard the 83 version, but the 85 version I heard is just garbage. I've actually seen Beer. I remember seeing it when I was like just getting into beer, and I was like, this sucks. So I would love to watch it.
Oh, there's a movie called Beer League with Artie Lang
Oh boy.
and Ralph Macchio.
Oh my god. Well, okay, that's next. That's
No.
all your submissions can go fuck yourselves. We're watching Ralph Macchio and Artie Lang do Beer League. It's definitely not a knockoff of Beer Fest at all. Let's go home. Let's stay home.
Put her to bed, Ben.
That's it. Where can people find you? What are you up to? I assume not much, but also tell people. Pink Boots beers are coming out, right?
Yes. Loomis Basin has already released theirs. Pink Boots are made for hoppin'. Bike Dog's coming out with theirs soon. I'm Every Woman. We have a lot more releases coming out. We are planning on doing like variety packs at Capital Beer and Tap Room. I will have more information as that comes out, but we're still working on it.
Listen to the Dare Daniel podcast for more movie talk, bad movie talk, your worst movie dares. Comedy Spot should be opening back up. Be performing there pretty soon. And also, I'm going to be starting an Instagram page for my furniture that I'm flipping, upcycling, and selling. So now that I've said it, I have to actually do it. So look out for that pretty soon.
For me, I'm still doing the regular Barley and Me digitally. Got this one. The Barley Me presents Leonard Malting. Thank you for listening.
Everybody, go and listen to Ben's. I totally interrupted it. It's so rude. Totally listen. Go listen to Ben's Barley Me. He's been doing this for a long time, interviewing local breweries and brewmeisters and stuff. It's such a good, fun podcast, and it really helps support local brewmasters and establishments.
Although my most recent episode was with Core Brewing of Arkansas.
It might be local to people there.
Yeah, you know what? And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It's two guys running one of the 3 largest breweries in all of Arkansas. There's only 2 brewers. They're like, we have like 30 guys running the canning line, but we're the only people making liquid.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. And they like make beer for the University of Arkansas. They make seltzers. They're just going nuts, and it's just the 2 of them. Anyway, very good episode there. I also am doing a new thing where I talk to local governmental candidates called Beer on the Ballot. Our first episode is out with Katie Maple of District 5 City Council. Well, she's running for. She's not currently of. Check that out. And then I, of course, got Please Dunk Responsibly, my basketball and beer podcast with Phil Webster. I'm also now producing and engineering a podcast where you don't have to hear my voice even for a second. It's an advice podcast with listener mail called It's Crazy You're in My Business with Tavi and Becky Lynn, 2 comedians in Sacramento, getting great reviews. Sounds great, by the way. Follow me across social media at Barley Me Pod. Follow Please Dunk Responsibly on Instagram at Please Dunk Responsibly, and on Twitter at Pliz Dunk Pod. That's PLZ Dunk Pod. Where can people find you? We have to go. This is too much.
You'll find me on the next Leonard Malting.
You can find me in your nightmares.
That's been our discussion of the 2015 cinematic classic, Furious 7. Corky McDonnell, thank you so much.
Love you.
Paulina Olivares, thank you so much.
I don't love you.
That's fine. It's early. Nobody needs to hear it back. It's 2021. If you don't love someone, you can tell them you don't love them. It's okay. Listeners, whoo boy, you went through it. Thank you so much. Don't watch this movie. If you haven't watched this movie, don't watch this movie. Thanks so much for listening. Stay home safe.